The Gathering, conversations that build community. You see, community does not weaken overnight. It fades slowly when structure is ignored and conversations stops. We've inherited faith, we've inherited resilience, we've inherited institutions built with vision and sacrifice. But legacy must be stewarded, not assumed. This is a space where faith meets culture, where leadership meets responsibility, and where conversation becomes construction. We are not here for noise. We are here for clarity. We are here to think, to question, to organize, to rebuild. Because strong communities do not happen by accident. They require vision. They require structure. They require intentional dialogue. So if you care about faith, leadership, education, economics, and generational strength, you belong at this table. Let's get started. Take a seat. The gathering begins now. So on today, our topic of this two-part series of episode 1, we're going to talk about why community still matters in a time of disconnection. Why do you think community matters? Why is it important? And I'm not talking about in theory or some cute slogan and not even nostalgia. Because now, as you think about your response, we are more connected digitally than ever, but disconnected relationally. But before we talk about what's broken, we have to talk about what was built. Because we inherited more than stories. We inherited structure. We inherited churches that didn't just preach. They organized. They kept records. They held meetings. They pooled resources. They trained leaders. We inherited historically black colleges and universities that were not symbolic institutions. They were strategic responses to exclusion. They produced lawyers, teachers, doctors, pastors, policy makers, and the list goes on and on and on. We inherited black-owned businesses that circulated dollars intentionally, not randomly. There was an understanding that money flow through the community mattered. We inherited mothers of the community who also prayed. They disciplined, they mentored, they preserved order. We inherited elders who understood the assignment. You see, community was not sentimental, it was operational. And that's important. It matters because often we romanticize the strength of previous generations, but we don't exactly examine their systems. There was a level of governance, a level of accountability. They had clarity around leadership. Community was organized resilience, and dare I say organized resistance. And they understood something we must reclaim. Community, again, is stewardship. It is not just belonging, it's responsibility. Now, let's slow down a little bit and talk about the cost of forgetting some of these things. Strength without structure does not last. Passion without policy does not sustain. Vision without governance collapses. Many of the institutions we admire did not fade because people stopped caring. They weakened because the structure weakened. If we look at our counterparts and what's happening in the world today, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something that was cultivated and structured and passed down and mentored into a space that the structure seems as though it is unbreakable. We have to make sure that leadership in our community transitions properly. Financial systems are maintained. Accountability can't become informal. Because when structure erodes, trust follows. Let me say that again. When structure erodes, trust follows. And once trust weakens, participation weakens. And once participation weakens, community fragments. So let's bring this to the present. Once we talked about the inheritance and the cost of forgetting. We scroll, we comment, we react. But do we consistently gather? We've been taught to perform presence. But do we practice accountability? Trust in institutions is low. Leadership is questioned, sometimes rightfully so. People are tired. But I don't believe people are tired of community. I believe they are tired of dysfunction. Tired of unclear expectations. Tired of leadership without transparency. Tired of effort without organization. Community without structure becomes chaos. Community without accountability becomes performance. Community without intentional leadership becomes noise. And noise exhausts people. So the issue is not that community doesn't matter anymore. The issue is that we have not been intentional enough in building it and keeping it and sustaining it by way of stewardship. As someone who is shaped by organizational leadership and governance, I've seen something consistently. Organizations do not collapse because people lack passion. They collapse because they lack clarity. Clarity around vision, clarity around responsibility, clarity around systems. You cannot build what you are not willing to structure. And if we want strong communities, we must be willing to examine how they are designed, not just how they feel. Because if we're ever going to rebuild that resilience and that resistance, we have to understand the importance of organizing and gathering and structuring so that we have consistency. And through that consistency, we have a vision, a collective vision that will help us to sustain generation from generation from generation. And now, I know in your tiredness, you may feel that although there was structure, there was resilience and resistance in the past, there often came time or situations where people took advantage of that. Power in any system can corrupt. But we have to meet this head on. We have to see the mishaps. We have to see the lack of transparency in order to move forward. I want you to sit with this for a moment. Where have you seen community weaken? Was it a lack of care or a lack of clarity? Was it apathy or was it absence of structure? Because in the next part of this conversation, we're going to move from diagnosis to design. Again, and I'm going to repeat this throughout our time together here at the gathering. Community is not accidental. It is engineered. And if we understand what weakened it, we can begin rebuilding it. In part 2, we talk about how. How do we rebuild intentionally? How do we restore trust? How do we structure legacy so it lasts? Because legacy is not seasonal. It is structured. I'll see you at the gathering. Attention, all Black churches, civic organizations, and social justice advocates in our vibrant community. In our collective pursuit of fostering a more inclusive, empowered, and united community, we're extending a special invitation for you to share your upcoming events and activities across the United States with us. Your contributions play a vital role in driving positive change and building a brighter future for all. Here's how you can participate. We warmly invite all Black churches, civic organizations, and social justice groups to submit details of your upcoming activities and events using the Google form provided. Please ensure that submissions are made at least 7 days in advance of the event date. When submitting, please include essential details such as the date, time, location, a brief description of the event, and a contact person with their email address and/or phone number. This allows us to accurately promote your event to the community. Once we've gathered all submissions, we'll amplify your voices by sharing the information through various channels. Together, we can raise awareness, inspire action, and make a meaningful impact. Just know, by participating, you're not only promoting your activities, but also contributing to a collective effort to advance civic engagement, social justice, and community empowerment within the Black community.
Yeah.